42 million. That's the number that Matthew White, a scholar whose work has been cited in 326 books and 92 scholarly journals, argues is the number of European war deaths in the war. He further breaks that number down into 28 million civilians, 14 million soldiers. And this is all just in the European war. This all can be traced back to one man, Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler led the Nazis during World War II, and he pushed them out of the Depression, and he helped them into some economic prosperity, and he also helped them into World War II. He was seen as Germany's messiah by one of Hitler's earliest people who looked forward to him, Rudolf Hess, according to Paul Jackson of Oxford Brookes University. World War II was the most destructive war in history. Most historians, including Sir John Keegan, a military historian, John Morris Roberts, another historian, and Matthew White, all say that World War II was the most destructive war with 50 million dead. These stupid mistakes that we've learned from the past, that we can learn from these stupid mistakes to learn how to be better than this, and that we can learn to learn from them. And we can learn when we commit these stupid mistakes, what's going to happen to us. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the crimes that were committed at home by the Nazis, the crimes that were committed abroad by the Nazis, and the repercussions of their crimes felt today, all through their words and actions. First off, let me tell you about the crimes that were committed against their own people. What I mean by their own people, I mean the different groups that they didn't really consider part of the German Reich. One of these groups were Jews. They targeted the Jews because they figured that they weren't really good enough for their bloodstream. They thought they weren't, supposed to be in there. Another group that thought shouldn't be there were the homosexuals, and they persecuted them too. Another group that was targeted were the handicapped, both physically and mentally handicapped people. Another group that would seem really weird for them to actually kill, but they actually killed their own Germans that they actually considered good enough to be Aryan, good enough to be part of the race. They would kill 26,000 political death sentences were passed in German courts. This is according to Rosenberg. This included critics, pacifists, and conscientious objectors, among other people. 288,000 Germans, not counting Jews, homosexuals, and those forcibly euthanized, including, the handicapped. That's the number that of Germans that were killed. Next, I'm going to talk to you guys about the crimes that they committed against different peoples. First, I'm going to talk to you about the crimes they committed against the conquered peoples that they conquered. You may be thinking to yourself now, if that's the way that Germans treated their own kind of people, how did they treat others? This is how. First, 20,946,000 people were killed according to Rome. That included Jews, homosexuals, Gypsies, Slavs, French, Dutch, Serbs, Slovenes, Czechs, and other members of society. And a lot of them were killed with death camps. Crimes against the world community at large, against humanity. 24 million military deaths can be attributed to Germany, directly. Matthew White has the chart that he says, he breaks the numbers down. They committed many treasons. They violated the Treaty of Versailles, which was put up to avoid having another world war. They committed the Holocaust, in which they killed many, many Jews, 6 million. They had forced eugenics, where they tried to purify the race by killing the handicapped. They had death marches of prisoners, where they would get the POWs and they just march them until they would die, so they wouldn't have to spend any money on food, water, or anything like that. And they had slave labor, where they would get people and make them into slaves. So now that you know more about the crimes they committed, abroad, let's learn about their effect legislatively and mentally on the world today. One of the effects that they had was the creation of the United Nations. Because the League of Nations was defunct and it couldn't really prevent any wars from breaking out, the creation of the United Nations was made so more wars could be diverted. The breakup of Germany happened, which caused Russia and the allies, USA, France, and Britain, to try and control Berlin, which was one of the main focal points of the Cold War, which lasted throughout the 20th century. Another effect that they had on people was that we have Holocaust memorials now. We wouldn't have Holocaust memorials if it wasn't, for the Holocaust. Neo-Nazis is another, not really great part, but one of the parts nonetheless. German damnation of Nazis, which is another aspect, with Germans not really, accepting Nazis anymore into the political realm. So, one other aspect that they had was movies. We have movies now that depict all these German war crimes, depict German, things that happen, and they become pretty much the quintessential bad guy for any, movie producer that wants to create a really good blockbuster film. They've created really good, evil presence towards other people. So in conclusion, the Nazis committed many war crimes at home, abroad, and their effects are still felt on the world today. People hear these stories and they think that, oh, history isn't that important. It doesn't really matter to me. But if we strive to learn from ourselves, maybe we can avert these kind of potential disasters again. We can always do better, and we can always learn from ourselves. Thank you.